So far, in previous videos, we've created our Chris Taylor character and made her blink and move her mouth in sync with pre-processed voice clips. But she's done all this whilst rigidly standing in a T-pose. We want our character to have movement, both whilst standing still and moving around. So, in this video, I'm going to add idle movement whilst she is standing still, and then I'm going to make her walk so as to try to always stand 3 meters away from you. For this, we're going to use this set of animations, which is free on the Unity Asset Store. Add to Assets, Accept, and open it in Unity. Download, Import, Import. Now, create a folder called Animation. In the Animation folder, right-click, Create, Animation Controller. We'll call this Chris Taylor Controller. Select our character and drag our new animation controller to the controller field of the animator component. Double-click on Chris Taylor Controller to bring up the animator. Right-click in the animator window, create state, empty. You can see the arrow indicating we will transition to the new state as soon as the state machine starts to execute. Select the new state, and I'm going to call it idle. In the project pane, under RPG Animations, I'm going to reduce to text because I find it easier to use. Then, under Animation, No Weapon, Idle 1, find the Idle 1 animation, which is the triangle with the lines on the left side, and we drag that into the motion field in the inspector. If we run this, we can see that the animation is basically okay, our blink is still working correctly, but the mouth has adopted a rather unfortunate pose. What's more, if we go to the head of the character and we try to play a voice clip,
"Hello, my name is Chris Taylor,"
we can see the mouth remains fixed in this pose.
My name is Chris Taylor.
The solution to this is rather esoteric and took me quite a while to resolve.
Hello,
It requires a
my name is
change to
Chris
the
Taylor.
speaking script. I have made 2 changes. First, rename the function update to late update. This will allow the script to override the fixed default being applied by the animator. Secondly, add a default to the state switch statement to force the mouth to the closed position on every call. Now, if we run it again, the mouth closes. And if we request,
Hello, my name is Chris Taylor. Hello, my name is Chris Taylor.
at the moment, all our character does is stand. Next, we'll make the character follow us. The character will walk towards us, stopping at a distance of 3 meters. In order to avoid the character walking very short distances, our character will start to walk only once more than 5 meters away from us. These distances present a practical problem, as our physical play area will likely be smaller than this. In order to resolve this, I'm going to introduce teleportation. In the project pane search, enter teleporting. Drag this into the scene. Next, go to Game Object, 3D Object, Plane. In the inspector, zero the position. Press Add Component and add Teleport Area. The default plane is 10 meters by 10 meters. We are going to make it 10 times larger. Link the X, Y and Z scale together and enter 10. And finally, before we run this, we need to comply with the player collision requirements given in my video number 4. Don't walk through walls in SteamVR. Game Object, Create Empty Child. Name this Ignore Player Collision. Select our character and in the inspector press Add Component and add Capsule Collider. Set the height to 1.8 meters and the Y center to 0.9 meters. Now run the game. There are default hint labels showing you that on these controllers you should press the large round button to teleport. The hints automatically disappear after first use. Press and hold the button to bring up an arced raycast and a circular target. If we walk towards our character, we can see our player collision code moves our virtual play area, preventing us from walking through her. Now we have teleportation, we can move a significant distance from our character. Unfortunately, at the moment, all our character does is stand. So the next step is to add our character walking when our distance from her becomes too great. Go to the Animator tab. Right-click, Create State, Empty. In the inspector, call it Walk. Drag in the Walk Forward animation. Select the Parameters tab, press the plus sign, choose a Boolean and call it Walk. Right-click on Idle, make Transition and click on Walk as the target state of the transition. Click on the arrow to select the transition. In the inspector, under Conditions, press the plus sign. This automatically fills in Walk is True as the condition. Uncheck Has Exit Time. Then repeat for a transition in the opposite direction. In this case, the condition should be Walk is False. Go back to the scene, select our character, and add the Character Follow script. Set the target field to VR camera because we want the character to follow us, the player, and set degrees per second to 60. When the character is not facing us, it will turn towards us at a rate not greater than this number of degrees per second. This script requires us to add an empty child game object to our character, and we call it Looker. And let's play the game. The animation is basically okay, but if you look closely at the legs, they are intersecting. This is probably due to the animation having been designed for a different character. Now I'll teleport to behind her, forcing her to turn. And here we can see her walking in an arc until aiming directly towards us, eventually stopping at a distance of 3 meters. Let's look at the code. The start function caches a number of items. Animator refers to the animator component which runs the animation controller, which includes our idle and walk states. Target transform is the transform of the target we are required to walk towards. We have configured this to be the VR camera, i.e. the character will walk towards us. Looker transform is the transform of the empty child game object of the character, which we will use to work out the direction we want our character to walk towards. Finally, the start function sets the initial state to not walking. The first thing the update function does is determine the distance between the character and the target. The distance is used to determine when to start and stop walking. This is controlled by setting the walk parameter in the animator. Whilst walking, we calculate the number of degrees turn required to face the target. This value is normalized to be in the range plus or minus 180 degrees, thus ensuring the character turns in the correct direction. We then calculate the maximum adjustment permitted for this update, based on the configured degrees per second and the delta time since last update. The adjustment this update is then derived, based on the required turn, limited by the maximum permitted adjustment. This adjustment is then added to the character's current Y angle. We need to apply some restrictions to the avatar movement. In the Project pane, go to Make Human and scroll down to Chris Taylor Avatar. In Inspector, press Configure Avatar. Select Muscles and Settings. Under left leg, select Upper Leg In-Out. Let's try changing the minimum from -60 to -20. And let's repeat that for the right leg. Scroll down, Done, Apply, and run again. As you can see, this needs a bit more tweaking, but you get the basic idea. My next video will be about the laser pointer.